It's the Elsa Kurt Show with Clay Novak. Serving up trending news and conservative views. Brought to you by the Elsa Kurt Collection. And Refuge Medical. And now, it's time for the show.
Well, hey now, what's up, Clay? How are you? What is that from? Well, hey now? I feel like it's from something.
I think that was that 90s bands. Was it Smash Mouth?
Oh, yes, you're right. Yeah. Hey now. Oh, oh my gosh, we just talked to guys just before we started. We were just talking about how badly we sing, and I just had the audacity to just start singing. Ignore that, people. You didn't hear it. Nobody heard anything.
No, there will be none.
It is that bad. It is that bad. We both agree that we're terrible singers, and
yes,
it doesn't stop either one of us. So whatever. Yeah. It's all good. How you been, Clay?
I'm good. It's a busy time of year for everybody. We're approaching the holidays. Kids are getting ready for fall breaks, and then Halloween is just around the corner. Are you a Halloween girl? Are you?
I am not. I never have been. Not even when I was a kid. I actually had such a strong aversion to Halloween that it became like psychosomatic type thing. Like I was sick. I always got sick on Halloween. Like I don't like to get scared. And my mother loves scary movies. Like the scarier, the better. So I was so traumatized as a child because now I'm dating myself quite a bit here. Like she would be out there watching like Amityville Horror and Rosemary's Baby and like all these things. And I would hear it from, it was a very small apartment when I was a kid. And I think I was so traumatized by anything scary. And of course, Halloween, people love to jump out and scare you. So strong aversion to it. And now I get to say, well, I'm a Christian, so I don't really celebrate that. It's because I'm a big chicken and I'm terrified, and this is just bonus. So, long answer, I do not. Do you guys?
No, so as a kid, Chicago was always like it could be 90 or it could be 32. So there were a few Halloweens with the Christmas coat or with a winter coat over that costume kind of thing. Yeah. There were plenty of Halloweens, just drowned in rain. But I kind of stopped doing the Halloween thing. Like, when I was in the Army, the military would do a great job. I'm fairly confident the military is who invented the trunk or treat concept, which is great for little kids.
It really is.
But honestly, I think, so many local places now are like, we're not trick-or-treating on Halloween. You're doing it on Thursday, or you're doing it on whatever random day that they select. And I think that kind of takes away from it. And I am way over scary movies. Like it's not a thing anymore. So, I'm definitely more of a turn the lights off on Halloween and sit in the basement or the back of the house and not answer the door when kids come. So maybe if there's a thing as a Halloween Grinch, I might be that guy. Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm getting more and more confident, Clay, that you and I are like twins separated at birth by a few years. No. Yeah. I can't do it. Do you remember those Halloween costumes from when we were kids? Like those nasty plastic masks.
The plastic mask with the elastic stapled in that 5 minutes after putting it on would snap out. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I remember those.
Oh, they were so awful. And if you were so blessed to have an older brother, he would come up and stick his finger right in the back of that elastic and just snap it right in the back of your head and you start crying.
An older sister would also do that.
Oh, so it's just an older sibling thing. Yeah. You guys relate.
That's also why Gen X is claustrophobic, those masks. All of Gen X has a claustrophobia, and it comes from those Halloween masks. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. I can even, as we're talking about it, I can even remember the smell of that plastic.
Yeah. Trying to breathe through that little mouth.
Oh, yeah. And you're literally like,
yeah.
It's so bad. Oh, yeah. I feel re-traumatized all over again. So, guys, we want to know from you. You celebrate this holiday? We'll call it. I do celebrate the candy though. Like I'll buy all that candy, pretend like I'm going to do it, but I don't at all. Oh, Clay, we got a lot of stuff. We got a great show for everybody. Topics that we did not expect to be still talking about, yet we are.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
They said he was running the country. Turns out it might have been a pen. Washington's 5th week of shutdown proves politicians love their paychecks more than yours. While D.C. fights, Trump's in the Pacific making real deals, alliances, minerals, and muscle. Back home, a New York candidate's citizenship comes under fire. At the border, ICE and patrol finally tighten the reins, and the left, still trying to figure out when their big tent turned into a divided house. Oh, and there's a new AI kid on the block ready to rival Wikipedia. Now it's time for the show.
They said that he was running the country. It turns out it was a pen held by some staffers and maybe even his cokehead son, allegedly, or his elder abusing wife, allegedly. Yeah, guess what we are talking about, my friends? Yeah, we're back on that Autopen because it's still a conversation. It's become more of a conversation because House Oversight Chair James Comer has dropped that report on the DOJ's desk, alleging the Biden era executive actions, including the pardons and whatever else, were all executed by Autopen by we don't know who, or maybe we do.
Yeah, I know we talked about this way back when, but an Autopen, it still baffles me that people don't understand that an Autopen is an actual physical, it's a machine, right? That it's code. There's an entry code to unlock it. It logs in all the signatures, but it is literally a machine that holds a pen that you put a document in and you push the buttons and it signs a pre-programmed signature. So when they say Autopen, it is literally an Autopen. But yeah, so it's come up with more detail that the Autopen in President Biden's office was used by people, not him, and also not authorized by him.
Right.
And so, as somebody who managed one of these things and had a code for one for a multi-star general for a little over a year, they are tightly, as well they should be, tightly managed. And clearly, the one in the Oval Office was not being tightly managed. And my understanding is that when they put the timeline, this is what really cracked all of this. When they put the timeline of some of the signatures against the timeline of President Biden's travel, there was he wasn't even in the country when those were signed. Now, that doesn't mean that there wasn't authorization given by him, but it did put everything under scrutiny. And as soon as that became apparent, the scrutiny got tighter, and now we are where we are.
Oh, yes. So question number one for you, Clay. Do you think that the Autopen should be used, like, period, at all? Should we not have that as an option?
I think there should be clear stipulations on what it is used for, like what legally, like there should be a statute, a law, something, on the books that says you can use it for and you cannot use it for. And I think more importantly, you cannot use it for, like, that specific list should be very, very clear.
Right.
You can use it for, like, listen, there's the president's signature is on a lot of things, and a lot of, like, hey, thanks for coming to the White House. Thanks for being a visitor. Hey, here's an invitation to an event. Like, if you want to put the president's signature on those kinds of non-legally binding documents, where there's certificates of appreciation or things of that nature, fine. That saves any president, any administrative person, the chore of sitting at their desk for hours on end and signing things.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. And in fact, when I manage one, that is primarily what we use them for my boss. We use the Autopen for. Now, when it comes to legal documents, absolutely not. I think it should be put on the books. It is illegal to use it for all of the things that it seems to use it for. Pardons, for executive orders, for all of these things. Any legally binding document should not be allowed to have an Autopen, period.
It feels like such common sense, right? I mean, you're talking about these are a big deal. We're talking about, pardons. We're talking about legal matters here that affect a lot of different things. So it just seems like such a matter of course that that's the way it would be. Like, I get everybody should be able to get the whole, like, the tediousness of having to sign all of those things you were talking about. And absolutely a great opportunity to use an auto pen for that. But yeah, absolutely. Legal documentation that should be, not only should that be signed by hand by the president, it should always be recorded. Like there should be, we should be able to see them signing it, like put that camera right, right above their head so you can see that whole process. I mean, why not make it transparent? Be transparent. That's not a complicated concept. It seems to be when it comes to the Biden administration, of course. I have another question for you, and I don't know if you know the answer. I literally just was wondering it. What do we know what other presidents, if and who used an auto pen for that same type of thing?
I would imagine, I haven't seen anything that says one way or the other, but I would imagine his presidency, his administration is not the first one to use it for legal documents.
Okay.
I would imagine it's probably been used by other presidents in the past as long as auto pens, which is quite a long time, actually. It's not new technology. But I would say that, there's supposed to be a log that goes with it, right?
Yes.
And it says, the auto pen was used for, on this date, authorized by, utilized by kind of thing. And it should all be logged for every single signature. And as soon as there isn't accountability for that, then you have a significant problem. I don't know. I think this has a lot more to do with the abuse of it relative to President Biden's mental decline than anything else. I think, you go back to any other president, and we can say whether it's President Trump, President Obama, President Bush, right? Just go back those three, and you say, did they use an auto pen? I'm sure that they did. Did they use it for legal documentation? I'm sure that they did. But I also believe that every one of them had the cognitive ability to authorize specifically the use of the auto pen to put their signature on something. I think the point of contention is that President Biden may or may not have had that cognitive ability, and his staff clearly abused the fact that he didn't. And that's really what I think is up for debate. And I think it's what the DOJ or the House Oversight Committee, who forwarded this to the DOJ and gave it to Mamdani and said, we need to really pursue legal action on this. Now, the people that it really is, I think, is being focused on are all of the Biden family pardons, the preemptive pardons, right? You remember we talked about this. The preemptive pardons were the ones that drew a lot of attention. The entire Biden family, Fauci, General Milley, and a handful of others who hadn't committed a crime, hadn't even been at the time accused of a crime or even indicted of a crime, but had been given a preemptive pardon. And I think that is where a lot of this is going to focus. And I think a lot of that, guys like Adam Schiff, and others who I think are also on that list. I think that's where the focus is at right now. And I can't believe that 9 months, 10 months past, we're still talking about this, but evidently there's enough evidence out there for that House Oversight Committee to kick it to the Attorney General and say, we need to dig into this for reals.
Yeah, I tend to think that it took that long because they were making sure every I was dotted and every, right? I mean, you absolutely have to. And I'm sure Pam Bondi said, don't bring it to me until you have something ironclad, because I don't want to have to reject it, because that's going to open a whole new, shitstorm, excuse my language, guys. But that'll be like Epstein 2.0. Why won't Pam Bondi prosecute? Why won't you go after? Oh, she's in their pocket. So, I think that's
and this is going to go to the Supreme Court. Guaranteed. So again, I think your instinct of it better be right the first time, because what you don't want is something like this to go into the legal process for legal review and potentially, for legal action, and have it be thrown out on an administrative technicality. That's the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, there's always, and they're, pretty much going to be from the left that are going to say, oh, all this time has passed. The man is, ill and elderly and all of these things. Let it go. No, the people that were pardoned probably should be charged criminally. So they did unexcusable amount of damage to this country, and I want to see them held accountable, or at least have the light shined on them, and we can find out what level of accountability and what really happened and who really did what. So I am all for this, 100% all for this getting pursued the way that it is. And I hope it goes to all the next steps, which to me, next steps would be, obviously to the Supreme Court. And then they're going to have to decide, what, if anything, is getting voided, what pardons are going to get voided. And they simply should be gone, done.
Yeah, and listen, folks, this is the one person who's not going to get in trouble over this, truthfully, is President.
Right.
Because if they determine that he was mentally incapacitated, he was incapable of making these decisions, then he can't be held accountable for the decisions, right?
Right.
The people who are going to get held accountable for this are his staff, as you mentioned up front, his son, his wife, especially, because now we know that they were in the office when these things were being discussed. Probably his chief of staff, his aides across the White House, those folks who were in the office, in the Oval Office, doing this, those are the people that are going to be held accountable.
Right.
And then, like you said, void the decisions that were made. Which I think is actually more important than holding the people accountable who took advantage of the situation.
Right.
I think, making sure that we void those actions and allow justice to take place when it needs to for people like the Biden family, Hunter specifically, and his brother, as well as, probably Fauci and some others. So, listen, folks, this is not over. We're going to hear about this for a little while because, as Elsa said, the Mamdani decision on how she's going to handle this and how quickly is going to see how long that this takes and how long it drags out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that will start, pending the results of that, that has the potential to start a whole a snowball effect of things, because then the next question is going to be, okay, so he's been determined to have not been having his faculties about him to make these decisions. So these decisions are void. What else should be void here that he made decisions on? And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. I'll be watching it very closely for sure.
Okay. Week 5. Week 5, folks.
Dude.
I cannot believe that we're here at week 5.
I can't
week
either.
5 of government shutdown is officially today, starts week 5. So 4 full weeks. And really, the significance of this week is we are now into the no pay world for federal workers, the military itself, air traffic controllers, et cetera, et cetera. And we are no closer, it seems, to finding a solution than we were in week 4, week 3, and all the way back to week 1.
Yeah, the Schumer shutdown is now even getting some flack from Democrats, from their own side. Now they're saying, all right, you know what? Enough. Just fix this. We have the largest union of federal employees. That's the American Federation of Government Employees, which represents over 800,000 workers, are demanding that Democrats swallow the Republicans' clean CR to reopen the government, and basically saying, get the government open, figure out all the stuff after that, which is what the Republicans have been saying all along. Like, pass this clean, resolution here and let's go. And then we can talk about all of these things, but let's get our people paid and move on. And the, Schumer and his cronies are all saying, nope, not going to do it. Don't care about Americans. Don't care about our federal workers. And oh, by the way, don't care about those SNAP EBT pays either.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the biggest uproars this week across social media. Some of it mildly entertaining, a lot of it pretty disturbing. But the move that's happening right now is that crowd, the EBT, folks on government assistance, and their reaction to this. Now, I've seen a couple of different things, and I will tell you, in all honesty, both sides of this discussion, both parties have shown that they're misrepresenting what's going on in this. And I say that so the EBT crowd has turned this into, well, if I don't get my EBT, I'm going to go rob Walmart. They can't catch us all. Like, there was actually a call, I think it's for tomorrow. By the way, folks, today is the 30th. We're recording at our normal time, 4:30 on the East Coast. So we're about 4:50 right now, the day before Halloween. So you'll be watching this on right? Halloween is Halloween.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Oh my gosh. No, wait, no.
Is it?
What?
Am I off a day?
Yeah, I think
Either
you're
way,
off a
we're
day. Yeah, we're
recording
off
on
a day.
Wednesday.
Yeah. Whatever,
And this will
guys.
show on Thursday. Regardless, there's a call. I think it is on the 30th, maybe at 6:30 p.m. nationwide that people will go into their local stores, grocery stores, specifically Walmart, I think has been targeted. And they're going to go in there. They're going to fill up their buggies I kept seeing used, which is clearly a regional thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just walk out. And the sentiment is they can't stop all of us. But these individuals have decided that they are entitled to this, food program, and they're just going to take what they need. Now, Walmart hasn't done anything. Walmart is going to be a very interested but innocent bystander in all this who's going to get taken advantage of.
Right.
And they have done nothing wrong. Like, this isn't on Walmart, but I think they're going to bear the brunt of it. Now, I did see on Newsmax a very conservative, and I don't remember the guy's name, but he was misrepresenting the EBT, the food stamp program, in the sense that he was saying, okay, well, 50% of Afghan immigrants are on EBT. 46% of, and these numbers are in the ballpark, but they're not exactly, 46% of Iraqi immigrants are on EBT. 52% of Ugandan immigrants are on EBT. So he's using these large percentage numbers, and he made it sound like, the American government was funding tens of thousands of immigrants. The reality, folks, is that 90% of the people who are on food stamps and EBT are American citizens. Okay.
Yeah.
That last 10% that this guy is misrepresenting are non-American, non-citizens who are on the program. So, the vast majority of people being affected by this are in fact Americans. Like, let's not turn this into an illegal immigrant. There's enough issue with the government shutdown that has to do with illegal immigrants. EBT is not necessarily one of them. Okay.
Right.
These are Americans who need these programs. And I will tell you that there are service members and their families who are already on EBT food stamps on a normal paycheck month, let alone now they're not getting any paychecks. So, there's some significant issues right now with EBT, and they're hitting this month, and things are going to be dicey out there, folks. I think across the board in any store that sells food items or normally accepts EBT.
Right. Yeah, and I've seen them too, Clay, and there's plenty of conversations that can be had about the abuses of the welfare system and the EBT SNAP program and all of this. Those are very, very valid conversations. But you do have to have something of a heart for people who are truly in a position where they need it. So we have to be careful. I don't mean you and I necessarily. I don't mean you and I at all, actually, in this particular case. But we as a society need to be very careful about making blanket statements about a whole population of people who are in need of assistance. My issue, and I think all of our issues should be with the welfare system of how broken and disruptive it really is, and truly not helpful to people in need. But we talk. This conversation has been had so many times about the difference between a hand up and a hand out, and our welfare system is a handout. It's become. I'd like to believe it was never designed to be this. I question that. My mistrust of government, at this stage of life, makes me kind of say this very cautiously when I say I would hope that I'll say it like this. I would hope that the intention was to be a hand up and not a hand out to control portions of the population. But that is the case when we're talking about the welfare system. That is the case when you control the food, their resources, you control the people. So you shut that down for them and they can't access it. This is what's going to happen. This is the mentality that you'll see from a portion of that population, who's abusing the system. The people who aren't abusing the system, technically, listen, if you've got kids' mouths to feed, children in particular to feed, you're going to do what you got to do to feed your babies. So they need to fix this, and they need to do it really, really fast. And this is, yet another thing that is putting another nail in the coffin that was and is the Democrat Party, right?
Yeah, and so there's a couple of things going on. We hit the EBT crowd. I kind of touched on even the military folks, and listen, I I blasted out, and we've talked about, sec def, sec war, whatever you want to call him now, Hexit. This is an opportunity for him to solve this part of this problem for the military families.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said this, there are military families that even on a normal paycheck month are on government, assistance programs. Like you've got a young, couple with a couple of kids, and they're lower enlisted folks. They're not making a lot of money on a normal month, and they're on government assistance. Now they're not even getting paid by the military. And just so people understand, if you're a single service member and you're living in the barracks, okay, you get a meal card to go eat in the chow hall. Okay. So that's part of your monthly, you go and you get paid, it's in your check. They don't even touch it. You just go in and you're in the chow hall. Families and folks who live off the base, they get a subsistence in their paycheck for food. But if they're not getting paid, they're not getting that. So what I recommended was that sec war, sec def, hexif, whatever he wants to be called, open up the chow halls to all the military families and allow them to run a tab until this is over with. That would allow service members and their families to eat really 3 squares a day. And then after it's over with, they can either settle a tab or do whatever he decides to do. I think he should just throw it away. But regardless, there's a solution there. Everybody else, though, like everybody else who is on food stamps and subsistence, government assistance programs, there's no solution out there for the folks that really, really need it, other than churches. Yeah. And listen, I know you're a Christian, and I know that you spend a lot of time, right? And churches used to be the hub for charity, not the government, right? It came from churches, it came from goodwill of just people trying to be good human beings, and has since been replaced in a lot of ways by the government. I think we need to kind of relook that. I think there's food pantries out there that probably could use some donations right now that people need to lean on. I think there's some other charity programs, not government affiliated, that we need to get to. And I think those can be some of the solutions for this. But listen, folks, this, air traffic controllers, you expect some flu this weekend. They are now not getting paid. You've got, as you said, Elsa, that, all these federal workers aren't getting paid. Federal law enforcement is not getting paid. You've got a lot of folks out there doing a lot of things that are not getting paid. And folks, there's no mistake here. This is the Democrats doing this. Hakeem Jeffries he said it today, we have a floor that we're not going below. Right. So he has put a hard line and said, we will not vote. We will not open the government again until until the Republicans come up to where our baseline they're not even negotiating. They're not even open to discussion, with the exception of a few, including Fetterman. They are the ones that are holding this up. And there are a lot of politicians out there that are saying, and don't mistake this, folks, just because there's a Republican in the White House, they control the Senate, they control the House, and they quote unquote control the Supreme Court. That doesn't mean that they can do this without help from the Democrats. This has to be both parties in the middle of this. You can't just blame Republicans for this, because the president can't fix this. As much as everybody wants to say orange man bad and blame it on President Trump, this is not it. He can't fix this.
No, all of this talk from the Democrats blaming, Trump, namely, and the GOP for this. You all are the ones holding this up. The Republicans are not saying we're not going to discuss this ever. They're saying we're going to put this is on the table for discussion, but we need to get the government open. We need to have this open to take care of our people here, and then we can discuss it. But we're not going to be bullied into throwing a bunch of BS in there that doesn't belong in there. We're not going to cower down to you essentially holding the American people hostage. It's not acceptable. We don't negotiate with terrorists, right? I mean, that's our thing.
Yeah.
So it's
hey, folks, just for the rest of the world, for the rest of us, the rest of America, just be aware that it is going to get dicey in some food places over the next few days, and hopefully not, but few weeks potentially. So, if you can avoid those locations, but obviously a lot of people can't. So just be aware of your surroundings when you go into grocery stores, Walmart, places like that, because the amount of crime is about to increase. Pretty significantly. So just be aware of your surroundings.
Yep, as excellent advice and very worthwhile advice, because it's going to be a thing that the more we go into this, the more desperate people get.
Yep.
And it's not, so you have that, right? You have the more people get desperate legitimately. You also have the ones that are going to take advantage, like the ones we were talking about in all those videos. They're just going to take advantage of the situation. They've got food. They're fine. They're totally fine. They're just going to take advantage of the situation, and they're just going to loot stores just because they.
This is the the George Floyd riots, for racial equality that turned into stealing Louis Vuitton.
Right.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're gonna have some for sure.
Right. And the proof of that is going to be, the handful of guys running out of Walmart with, flat screen TVs, right? And not steaks, not
Right.
not some boxes of cereal.
Nope.
I don't know how you're going to eat that flat screen, but enjoy, I guess. So
Yep.
we already know exactly what's going to happen here, and all of the innocent, law-abiding, good humans out there are the ones that are just suffering for all this. It's so frustrating and so maddening. I can't even. Since we're talking about the Democrats, you want to move on to that one? Should we? Okay. Let's talk about, was 2020 the breaking point of the Democrat Party? What do you think?
Yeah, I believe it is. I've a little bit of introspection over the last few days, and I was trying to go back. I've been watching specifically the couple of races that are going on right now, and you're talking Virginia governor, you're talking New York City mayoral, and those are the two big headline ones, and we're going to talk about New York City in a little bit. But you go back to 2020, and so President Trump looking for re-election just to set the stage for everybody, and the Democrats could not get a viable candidate. So think back, folks, remember this. They couldn't get a viable candidate, and so they grabbed Joe Biden. And if you remember, he didn't even campaign. He came in late, right?
Yeah.
He sat in his basement. He barely campaigned. So he was forced in. There was some shenanigans that went on. There was a divided opinion. President Obama has been documented as saying, don't put it past Joe and his ability to F things up, or whatever the quote is.
Oh, yeah.
He was not a fan, right? And
right.
They needed someone. And so it was Biden, and then it was the DEI hire of your buddy Kamala,
My buddy,
and then it was the 81 million votes.
Yeah, we can pull up the graphic for that, right?
Right, yeah. 81 million votes. Everybody's seen it. Now, just keep in context. 4 years before that. 8 years before that, President Obama. Right. Who was one of the most popular presidents.
He was their superstar
in modern history.
Yes.
When he was elected for his second term, not his first term, his second term, 66 million votes.
Right.
And then
Joe Biden,
who didn't campaign, stayed in his basement, got 15 million more votes for that presidential election. And then, so he got elected. And then it became lawfare. Right. The goal was to make sure that Trump, or specifically Trump, could not run again in 2024.
Right.
That was the goal.
Yes.
It wasn't even about it was about making sure Trump couldn't run. It was all of the lawsuits. It started off with the Mar-a-Lago raid. It's all of those things. And then you start to have the splinters. You started to have the squad became more and more prevalent. Right. And Bernie Sanders and his socialism that he's been trying to push for the last 30 years is got a but I think 2020 and that election and Joe Biden going into the White House was the breaking point for the Democratic Party, in that it's all hardline left.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. This is truly the Mamdani openly calls himself a democratic socialist. Like that's the term that they use. And as we know, of course, Bernie is, that's a long time been his thing. And, the term democratic socialist is one of the most annoying things you could ever hear if you're a thinking person, right? Like everybody knows what these terms mean, and everybody was thinking and paying attention. There is nothing good whatsoever that has, or will ever come from socialism. So what do? They slap another word on it, like, well, everybody, we love being a Democrat, so if we're democratic socialist. That's different. No, it's not different. It's not different. And you're just adding a word to soften it and make it sound more attractive to a population that maybe would have still had the sense to recoil at the word socialist because they understood what that actually means. So now you have this whole group, and like you said, Clay, they are running the show. They have taken over the party. They are the voice of the party, and anyone, your mama's Democratic Party, doesn't exist anymore. Those people still exist. They're still alive. They're still, wandering around, scratching their heads like, what happened? And not understanding that they lost their party. It's gone. And I don't think it's ever coming back. I mean, you basically would have to completely rebrand. And I mean, that would take, a decade, if not longer.
And listen, I know folks are going to talk about, President Obama being the president or the administration of division, right? Mm-hmm. That's not this, right? That's division between Republicans and Democrats, right?
Right.
You've got, the next kind of step was Russiagate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's dirty politics, okay? And politics is always dirty. That was just very blatantly dirty politics.
Yeah.
But America has always taken stuff like that. You could go back to Watergate. And
Mm-hmm.
America as a whole looks at that, and American politicians look at that and they go, that was too far. And the pendulum swings back.
Right.
Right. There has been no swing back of the pendulum since 2020.
Yeah.
None. In fact, it's gotten worse.
I was just going to say, it's gotten so much worse.
And I think that specifically,
mm-hmm.
the election of 2020, followed by the election of 2024, where Biden bows out late. They put Kamala in there with 0 electoral votes, truthfully,
mm-hmm.
Zero choice by the public.
Right.
Now we're hearing through some of the books that are coming out that President Obama didn't want to endorse Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Pelosi, they supposedly had a secret meeting. Neither one of them was going to endorse Kamala Harris. And then when Joe Biden did it on stage, Nancy said, hey, the horse is out of the barn, and she did it too. And supposedly Obama called her up and said, what the F did you just do?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of fracturing going on within the Democratic Party, and the people who are taking advantage of it are the squad, people like Mamdani, right? Hakeem Jeffries and all the rest of these folks.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I don't think it's irreparable at this point.
Yeah.
There's no voice in the future that any of us have seen in the Democratic Party, because it's not Newsom, it's not Pritzker, it's not any of those, any of the up and comers, quote unquote,
mm-hmm.
hero, maybe, but doubtful, that could bring the Democratic Party back together and back to reality, back to a rational thought process. I think they're gone.
They're gone because they're all, for the most part, they're all older. This is the whole crop of young bloods that are in now, and they're running with it. I mean, obviously Bernie's the exception to that. He's just hanging on for dear life. That's the Muppet. But the only one, and again, anytime I bring up this guy's name, I'm always like, I can't even believe I'm using this guy in a positive light in any way, shape, or form. But the only one that's notable, talking any sense, that people actually pay a little attention to is Fetterman. Just so bizarre to me. But even still, he just doesn't have what it takes. He's not a good speaker.
And they're trying to vote him out.
Exactly. Of course.
It's him in Pennsylvania right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're already campaigning against him. The Democrats are,
of course,
out of office because he's gone so centrist and even so much more to the right. So even when you do have someone who is willing to cross the aisle, willing to negotiate, willing to, move forward with progress, they want him out because it's become an extremist movement, and that's where they're at. Even Cuomo, who we're both saying is the lesser of two really evil options for New York City, is I saw him in an interview today. He was saying if Mamdani, he's using fear in his own party now, right? The fracturing. He was saying if Mamdani wins New York, then Trump is going to roll tanks down Main Street and take over the city by force, because he's going to use Mamdani as an excuse. So now you've got this fractured infighting inside of the Democrats, that they're now going against each other. So it's pretty broken, and I don't see a fix. I certainly don't see a fix by 2028.
No, I agree. No, they my goodness, I wish I had the crystal ball to see what's going to happen here, but this party has the Democrat Party has completely shifted and changed, and again, I fully believe that they are not getting that party back. I don't see it happening. Again, if it's going to happen, it's, you got a decade, if not longer, before that can happen, because they just have too much steam. They have too much financial backing from very nefarious, deep pocket people, right?
Yeah.
And who want to see this happen. And, these are people who have been playing, and I've talked about this before, right? We've talked about this. They've played the long game.
Yeah.
This is decades in the making. And we were asleep at the wheel. We weren't paying attention. We weren't taking it serious enough. We believed that we had enough patriotism, people. And then you had all of the illegal immigrants coming through. And it's a deep, deep hole. And the Democrats that once existed just don't have the steam to dig out of this. They just don't. They don't.
Yeah, the Kennedy Democrats are gone.
They're gone. They're gone. End of a sad, tragic crash and burn ending of an era for sure. And since we're bringing up Mamdani, we might as well go right into that, right?
Yeah.
Clay was laughing at me because I actually, when I put in our little headings there, I put it in twice. He's like, "You must really want him to get deported, huh?" Yeah, I do. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be good. So listen. I don't know if there's going to be any steam to that whatsoever. But you have two House Republicans are asking the DOJ to review Mamdani's naturalization. They're citing potential omissions, talk of denaturalization, and deportation. So that's the conversation. They're, let's call it what it is. They are trying to find anything that they can to get this guy out because he is a genuine, legitimate risk to not only New York City but the whole country, really. So yeah, I mean that's what they're trying to do. What do you think? Are they gonna?
So he's born in Uganda. He's dual citizen.
Mm-hmm.
He's born in Uganda. He's got still to this day has dual citizenship with Uganda and the United States. His mother even said I read this today in an interview that he doesn't even consider himself an American. He considers himself a Ugandan. Now she said this a number of years ago, but she did say it in an interview that he didn't consider himself an American. He considers him because he was raised he was born in Uganda and he was raised back and forth between India and the United States. So he considers himself a Ugandan and an Indian and not an American. Now, I'm sure if questioned, he would say, "Oh, well, that was my mom that said that." Or, "Yes, she said that 10 years ago. I consider myself an American now." I'm sure he'll talk out of it.
Yeah,
but,
just like he's talking his way out of the whole my aunt with her on the subway. Okay.
Whatever that was.
How did that work out? Now, of course, don't they know that they're going to get chapped? Like people will scour.
Always.
They will do the things to find. They
don't care. They
don't.
watched Joe Biden do it for an entire career, lying over and over again, telling these stories about people and places and times that didn't line up, and he continued to do it. Right. And we all just caught on at the end when we're like, "Hey, the guy's senile." And in reality, he's been doing it for his entire career. And they've all been watching it and they don't care either. It's just the same thing. Right. So this effort to denaturalize, to take away his American citizenship and then deport him to Uganda has some teeth. And Marco Rubio, I think, has not necessarily weighed in on this officially. I would not put it past him to be on board with this and to take action on it. The question is this the American way? This is going to be an unpopular opinion. My opinion is no, it's not. My opinion is he is an American citizen. He has not done anything legally treasonous to the nation that anybody can prove, that he hasn't been tried for, and therefore he has every right to run for office just like any other American citizen. Because people don't like his politics is not a reason to take away his citizenship and send him away. People will argue with me, and that's fine. But I don't think that that's the American way. Unfortunately, I think the American way allows him to run for mayor of New York, be elected the mayor of New York, which will happen, and then thusly destroy the city of New York. And I know that people are worried about him as a threat to American businesses, to our most populous and most popular city in the nation, etc. But there's no legal reason to do this. Now,
Mhm.
if they're going to find a loophole, like you said, and it's like, oh, well, he left out one of his addresses,
Mhm.
or whatever it is, some administrative reason to do this.
Right.
Okay, then we're probably abusing the legal system in ways that, if it was used against us in the same way, we wouldn't be very happy about.
Mhm.
So unpopular opinion, I don't think he should be deported. I really, really don't.
Right. Isn't just that he, there was some conversation or some stuff that I had read to basically to the effect of that he was a part when he came here, he was part of a socialist or communist group or party or whatever it was. I don't think they used the word communist, but socialist, which we all know. We know what we know here.
One leads to the other.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're hand in hand here. They're married, basically. That because he was part of that group, that it makes his citizenship void or not possible because of that affiliation. So if that is, I mean, if it's as simple as that, then yeah, I hear what you're saying, Clay, and it's I don't disagree with you in the, I don't know, the moral, ethical sense of doing things. But I also have to say the exact opposite and say, I really want them to find something because this guy is going to get in otherwise. And he is an absolute detriment. It's such a mild word to use, to New York City, the citizens, I always think about these poor people who are going to be affected, the ones that are just trying to earn a living, have a life, do the right thing, pay their taxes, pay their bills, take care of their family, and they're going to be the ones to suffer profoundly from the actions of this man. I have to show you guys, I just saw it this afternoon and I snagged it for us to watch. Cuomo, who we do not like. let's just reiterate that every time. But he put out an ad. I don't know if you saw this, Clay, but he put out an ad against, obviously, Mamdani, and it's all like AI, but it's pretty good. It's a little bit lengthy, but we're going to watch it because it's good. So here it is, guys.
An inexperienced radical whose policies will make New York City more dangerous. But what do his actual supporters think?
Mamdani isn't crazy. He's just trying to even the playing field.
Give everyone a fair shot. Sure, he said multiple times we need to defund the police, but that was just a metaphor.
And yes, he did say crime is a social construct, but that was also a metaphor.
His main backer, the Democratic Socialists' ideas are common sense, such as
Decriminalizing misdemeanors, like shoplifting.
third-degree assault, trespassing, prostitution,
And drunk driving.
With plans to decriminalize all drugs, Mamdani will be a job creator for drug dealers.
Instead of helping us homeless get off the streets and into the mental health facilities we need, he wants to give us safe injection sites to do crack and let us sleep in subway carts.
These are actual policies Mamdani and the DSA want to implement on day one.
When a woman's being domestically abused, she finally won't have to deal with some pesky cop to arrest the abuser, but now a social worker to help, kumbaya the situation.
Breathe in, breathe out.
Mamdani is finally lowering jail sentences.
guilty! But Mamdani says you're free to go.
Who cares if legalizing prostitution statistically leads to an increase for sex trafficking of women and young girls by 70%?
You can't have safety without equality.
For unlawful abiding citizens like us, globalize the intifada.
I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal. I'm a criminal.
I'm a criminal.
Yep. I'm a criminal.
For so wrong.
For Zoran Mamdani.
I didn't have a real job until I was 30, but sure, give me the keys to the city. What's the worst that can happen?
Ouch.
Wow.
Ouch.
Holy cow.
Yeah, there were no punches pulled on that one at all. Yeah, say what you will, say what we will about Cuomo and his team there. That was a pretty in-your-face ad right there.
Yeah. Again, folks, this is going back to touching on the last topic. Like, this is the broken fighting inside of the Democrat Party right now.
Yeah.
And again, he's fear mongering a little bit. I don't think he's too far off of reality, but
Right.
he's bringing it to the forefront. The AI was a little sketchy, but it gets the point across.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Exactly.
he did say it out loud, like he fully expects on the day of Mamdani's inauguration that Trump's going to roll tanks down Main Street, New York, and that's he's going to take over the city. So yeah, it's listen, if they can find folks, I don't support Mamdani at all. Don't get me wrong. But if they can find that he lied on his citizenship application, then sure, absolutely take it away from him, send him away. But again, if we're reaching for straws that he didn't dot an I, and it was an administrative error versus a blatant, attempt to defraud or lie, then, I think we've got a different discussion to have. But it's folks, it's coming. We're like, what are we, a week, 2 weeks away?
Less than, right? Yeah. It's I feel a deep sense of dread with the whole thing. I just feel like it's a foregone conclusion of what's going to happen here. I did see that they said Como made some big leaps there, but I think Sliwa is not backing down. He's not backing out, right? I mean, he's dug his heels in. Listen, we already kind of, the writing's on the wall here. You know what's likely to happen, and act accordingly. I will speak on behalf of my soon to be adopted, well, not soon, but soonish, adopted state of Florida. Don't go there. Stay out. Don't do it. A
lot of them planning it already.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Long Beach is the destination. I heard there's a couple of that. Florida is the primary destination for the New York escape. So, and I know Governor DeSantis is, I'm sure, ecstatic about that.
Oh yeah, I am sure.
But
oh, all right. So we've got two last ones here. I think it's a nice one. I like it. So we'll do this one first. Let's talk about Trump's trip to the Pacific, and let's just start it off with a little bit of fun from it here. Here we go. I loved it. I enjoyed that. I think we all enjoyed that. So they love him. They do. They loved him. And, this isn't a frivolous, dumb trip that people are, because, the left, I'm sure, I don't even know, but I'm sure they're saying things like, oh, it must be nice to just leave, crisis at home, right? And go have some fun with your new little friends. And I'm glad they're more important to you than we are. They're saying all the obnoxious things.
Billions of dollars in trade, in business, in investment, and oh, by the way, ended a war while he was, for kids.
Just felt like it. So it's like that. You ever see that meme? Felt cute today. Thought I'd end a war.
So Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, all business deals, right? So you've got trade deals, you've got investments in the U.S. You've got all of that, billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, and then signed the Kuala Lumpur Peace Accords, which ended a war between Cambodia and Thailand. Key deals with Japan, key deals with South Korea. What did you talk about? Rare earth minerals, right? Which is a big thing. Now that gives us a lot, not just us, Japan and Australia is also tied into that deal. Some freedom from China and their control over rare earth metals, which are the things that go into, I don't know, like computer chips and like
your
EVs,
phones, airplanes, electric cars, all of the things that we depend on, basically, right? So, and you put out one of the biggest key points there, that reducing our dependency on China, big deal here, really big deal here. So don't play it down, folks. This was a very important move that he did, and it's great.
He is supposed to meet today, I think, with Xi Jinping from China.
Yes.
And then he did open the door. He offered a meeting to Rocket Man in North Korea, who didn't take it, but he did open the door. You're going to see some activity on this meeting with China today, guaranteed. And so we'll see what comes out of this, but already a successful trip. I mean, you can say
highly
what you
successful.
want.
My goodness.
And then they published today, he's going to get off the plane tomorrow. He's going to go. He's hosting an event in the middle of the day, right off the plane, and then he's giving out candy to trick-or-treaters tomorrow night. So he literally, Joe Biden would have been down for
Oh my gosh.
He'd have come off. First of all, he never would have made the trip. Second of all, if he made the trip, it would have been 2 days, one stop, and he'd be back, and then he'd be out for a week.
Yes.
He couldn't do this if he tried.
No.
President Trump's going to get off the plane. He's going to go do some more events, and he's going to roll right in. And you know what, folks? If he goes golfing on Sunday, good for him. Leave the guy alone. Like, he earned that.
Exactly. He can golf. And you know what? If he does go golfing on Sunday, he'll be working while he's golfing. He will be making deals and
he'll probably shoot under 85.
Right? The dude's amazing. And, hate him all you want. You can't keep up with him. Try. No. Show me someone half his age that can keep up with that man's schedule.
Yeah.
And he's incredible. I don't care if you hate him. I don't care if you love him. I don't care about any of that. You need to at least give him that man never, ever stops. He works so hard for this country that he loves so much. And I respect and admire that about him so, so much. And I don't really care if you don't. So whatever. It's all good by me. Last one of the evening. Elon's XAI has released the beta version of they're calling it Grakipedia. And it's to rival Wikipedia. And I think that is really very interesting. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. I just think that it's really interesting. Hence, we're throwing it in here for our last lighter topic here. Obviously, AI is such a huge point of contention for people. And rightly so. It is something that has grown to such a degree that it's out of control. I cannot stand some of these AI videos. There's a platform called Sora, I think it's called, out right now, right? And I know everybody's loving it. Everybody's enjoying it. These hokey videos that are, really now if you recognize it because it's the same type of thing that they're doing over and over again. I personally cannot stand them. I scroll past them so fast because I don't know, maybe it's maybe it's my little bit of bitterness because I write, script, perform, edit. I do all of the work for my own skits and everything. And people are just generating and so rude, but whatever, that's all. It is what it is. I am not a fan. If you're on the right, it's very likely that you are not a fan of Wikipedia because it's so profoundly biased because people can input information and change it and do all of those things. So I will be checking. I have not yet. I followed it or whatever. I don't know. I bookmarked it, I think is what I did. Grakipedia. I'm going to look into it for you guys. I maybe will even make a page for myself and y'all, maybe you guys can jump in and edit it. Be nice. You hear me? You behave.
Yeah, I told Elsa before the show, folks, that I don't go much on Twitter. It just doesn't, I don't use it. But I did pop on it yesterday and I saw this. This was the first thing that popped up. Obviously, it's on X/Twitter. But Elon Musk literally called Wikipedia Wokepedia because of the ability for people to go in there and edit. Anybody can go in and edit Wikipedia, as we all know. Right. So what they've been doing is they've been wokeifying Wikipedia. They're literally editing out truthful things, adding in things that go with the woke mindset, and they're changing what the entries are to fit that narrative. And he's like, we can't do this anymore. Right. So Grakipedia is supposed to be fact-based, not opinion-based. I don't know how much editing is going to be allowed, available. I don't know how it's going to work.
I don't think there's going to be much at all. It's the way I understand it is that it is so committed to fact-based material. I typed in a question, how do you make a page on Grakipedia? How do you make a page? And I did it so soon before I did this. So don't quote me on this. This is very loose. Basically, the gist of it is you put in your information, you start inputting the information, and it warns you to not, lie or embellish because it's going to flag it and it's going to stop you immediately because it's fact checking you in real time. So fabulously fascinating, I think, from that. So I do have an example. I almost forgot that I put this up for you guys. So this is the Wikipedia version of George Floyd. And as you can see, he's an African-American man who was murdered by a white police officer in Minneapolis, blah, blah, blah. You can probably freeze this and read it all yourselves if you so choose. Okay, so that's theirs. All right. Now here is the Grok version of that, which is really very just the facts, ma'am. Like straightforward. George gives his full name, American man, lengthy criminal record, which I don't think that the Wikipedia one even mentioned his criminal history. Drug possession, theft, blah, 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 gives the facts of the circumstances of what happened, and just very factually straightforward. Here's what happened. No, misleading or leading, words or statements or anything like that. So from that alone, it piques my curiosity. So we would love to hear what you guys think of that. Of course, we want to hear what you think of all of the topics. Pipe in, give us your opinions, your thoughts. If you got to correct us on something, go ahead and correct us. We got thick skins. We don't get insulted. If we were wrong on something, call it out. If we were right, even more importantly, if we were right, tell us how right we are. Because I love to be told I'm right. It's my favorite thing. Oh, but as usual, Clay, you did an awesome job picking out our topics. All really, really important topics that are so stressful.
America's doing it for me. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not hard nowadays. It's not hard. It's you pop through 3 or 4 news outlets and the same 6 or 7 topics come up.
Yeah.
And I just grab the ones that I think are most interesting for us, and I'm happy to do it. And it's always fun to do it with you.
Thank you, my friend. Awesome. And you guys are also our absolute favorite part of doing this every week. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for sharing the show and supporting us and giving us feedback and all those great things. We're so appreciative to see the show growing. We love you guys very much, and we will see you all in next week's episode. Clay, you go ahead and close them out. You got something to say. Go ahead.
I do. Everybody has to congratulate Elsa. 400,000 followers.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's a huge thing. I'm just happy to be riding the coattails, folks. But 400,000 followers, that's a big milestone for Elsa. Congratulations to you, lady.
Thank you so much.
Happy to be your partner and proud for you. So give everybody, folks, just give Elsa a little round of applause in your living room. And we will see you next week. And from me, as always, keep moving, keep shooting.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Combat veteran Terry Davis thought he left the fight behind. In Tampa, he uncovered a deadly conspiracy. Now, he's back home in Chicago, and war has followed him to his doorstep. Gangs armed like soldiers, a shadowy enemy rising from the past, and one man who refuses to stand down. From the quiet suburbs to the shores of Lake Michigan, Terry Davis will risk everything to protect the people he loves, because that is his cross to bear. Clay Novak's explosive new novel, Cross to Bear, Book 2 in the Terry Davis series.
She's the voice behind the viral comedy, bold commentary, and truth-packed interviews that cut through the chaos. Author, brand creator, proud conservative Christian, this is Elsa Kurt. Welcome to the show that always brings bold faith, real truth, and no apologies.